We have Levon Aronian taking on Javokhir Sindarov here at the Uzbekistan versus USA match in Miami, Florida. They both played in the rapid section and Levon won a beautiful game against Javokhir. And now, will Javokhir get his revenge in the blitz segment? Let's see. The time control is 3 minutes plus 2 seconds increment. Levon has the white pieces, a handshake, and off we go. Levon opens with e4, e5 and plays bishop to c4. Well, basically, was he thinking that Javokhir would play the Petrov? And look at this, he's given up his bishop and taken the doubled pawns. The upside to the double pawns is that you have great control on the d5 square. The downside is that your opponent has the bishop pair. Knight to g3. Now looking at the f5 square, Javokhir instantly controls it with pawn to g6. Levon plays his pawn to b3 and we have h5. Gaining space. You can see how quickly Javokhir is playing. He has 3 minutes 2 seconds. He's not at all surprised by Levon's opening, which is not really a very common way to play as white. h4, gaining more space, and Levon is thinking, should he go knight f1? Should he go knight? Yeah, he goes knight f1. The idea could be to go knight e3, knight d5. Bishop comes out to e6. And black would want to play pawn to c6, controlling the d5 square. Knight comes to e3, and there you have it, c6. So the knight cannot jump to d5, knight cannot jump to f5. It's a bit sad there, but Levon continues pushing. He goes a4. For the black king, I think castling short is perhaps not so appetizing. The pawn on h4 could become a weakness. On the other hand, you could consider queen d7 and long castling. So Javokhir here taking time to figure out what he wants to do next. I believe Levon could short castle. And I think it's a good moment to take some time. Levon has 2 minutes 28 seconds. Sorry, 2 minutes 40 seconds. Javokhir has 2 minutes 15 seconds. Queen c7. Improving the position of the queen and preparing long castling. Okay, for Levon, will the bishop go to b2? Yes, he plays his bishop to b2 on this long diagonal. And Javokhir goes a6. Not yet committing to long castle, because once you long castle, maybe b4, b5, you never know. Long castle played by Levon. Levon is not shy. Is there some kind of a b5 business that could happen here to open up everything? I think it would be too risky. For now, maybe rook b8. Preparing b5 could be on the cards. And Javokhir could short castle and say that I want to go all out for the attack. But he could also say I want to long castle and play a very quiet game. Because then both the kings are on one side of the board. Tough call. Tough call for Javokhir, and he's taking his time. 1 minute 30 seconds left for Javokhir. 2 minutes 23 seconds for Levon. This is one thing that I have noticed with Levon Aronian against Javokhir Sindarov. He's able to keep that time lead. Ooh, long castle played by Sindarov. King b1, king b8. Both kings stuck themselves into the corner. And for white now, what's the next plan? As we spoke, the knights don't really have great squares to jump into. g3 does feel like an option. He does play g4. Wow, he gained space. And here's the tactic that has been spotted. If you take the pawn here on h3, then the bishop is going to get trapped with g4. And that's the reason why taking it would not be the right idea. Sindarov now thinking, he goes queen c8, attacking the pawn on h3. We have g4, gaining space. Well, Javokhir needs to figure out what his next plans ought to be. He goes knight h7. He's trying to come into g5. But now h4 could be very powerful. As you gain space, the g4 pawn is protected. The h4 pawn would also be protected by the rook. He plays h4 and the knight comes to f6. He attacks here, but the rook defends it. So there is no g5 business to give you the h5 square. Rook h7. He's doubling down the h file. Knight e2. So quickly played. The question is, what do you do to the rook double on the h file? And why is Sindarov thinking? He needs to move. He's down to 30 seconds. Levon has 1 minute 56 seconds. King a8 played. I guess he was a bit afraid of some c5 move here, which would have attacked the e5 pawn. h5. Takes. Not a good decision to take that pawn on h5. It's given the f5 square away. Knight to g3. Levon is now completely better. Because once you give up the f5 square, the knights are like waiting for it. Knight e7. And well, why don't we jump in? Knight e f5. Attacking the bishop on e7. Bishop goes back to f8. And rook d1 attacking d6. Queen comes and defends it. You can see that the knight is now protecting the h5 pawn, so you don't really have to worry about it. Bishop c1 in order to control h6 and prepare the move h6 here. Sindarov now down to last few seconds. Knight c5, he pushes forward. And look at Levon's intent now. Bishop c8. Beating Sindarov or beating any youngsters requires a lot of energy. You need to be really keyed in because they are looking at the tactics. They are very alert. Knight h5. So he's coming into the f6 square. Takes on f5, queen f5. And can we take here on h6? He takes knight f6, bishop c1, takes on h7, queen h7. The speed at which Levon played that to win an exchange was insane. Knight e8. He brings his queen up and knight takes pawn. The queen comes back, pins the knight, queen takes f7, chops off another pawn. And Levon is playing with 1 minute 20 seconds and he's playing at this speed. Because he knows that Javokhir is someone you can't take lightly. Okay, some threats need to be taken care of. For example, knight a4, ba4, queen b6 check. Is that even a big threat? Maybe not. But you have to be careful. And this is where Levon takes some time. Very smartly he does so. And Sindarov, well, he's almost on the brink of defeat. And Levon calmly tries to figure things out. Just making sure nothing goes wrong. He's an exchange up and he's a pawn up. So that's 3 points extra in the position. Queen e8. Trades off the queens. Knight e8. Knight takes e4. Attacks the knight and the pawn. We have a check. King comes to c1. Javokhir pushes the pawn. But this pawn is falling down now. Knight to d6. Maybe king d2 first. And he goes king b8 with just 1 second on the clock. Knight comes up to d6. He brings his king up and takes on e4 and Sindarov resigns. A great game by Levon. Let's have a look at a couple of key moments in this encounter. I think the first key moment came here because if rook d h8 attacking the pawn on h4, it was already difficult to push h5 because there are already so many defenders. But I think Javokhir was a bit afraid of the move c5 when he thought that this entire structure would fall apart. Fair enough. I mean, knight d7 would have been a decent move here with the idea that after cd6 you can take back bishop d6 or even bishop h4. So he went for the move king a8. And here Levon pushed h5. And this is where Javokhir had to be careful. He can play rook d h8. And if you take here, then I can simply take back, controlling the f5 square. That's a very important square. The moment he took g takes h5, look at the bar rise up. And this was a big advantage here with the f5 square now firmly in white's control. He jumped in and after this black was completely tied up. You can see that after knight h5, Levon had calculated the tactics beautifully. So there are 3 attackers on this pawn, but there are 2 minor pieces defending it. So he took here, queen takes, and took on h6. But this is where Levon had seen from before. There was knight f6 attacking the rook. If the rook moves, then the bishop falls, because then there are 2 attackers. So bishop takes c1, rook takes, and queen takes, and this led to an extra exchange, and Javokhir lost the game. Beautiful game by Levon Aronian.